senior night as well. First portion of that will be a JV. So I'm Jordan Lehman. I'm joined by our head Zach Andrews and coach. How you doing, Nygaard? Good. Yeah. Yeah, it's picked up significantly on the back, but we got a warm gym here. Lining up the rails are on Altoona. So we've got 31 minutes on the freshman 14. Days 30. Anderson's he must have got really smile already. Here from the balls, but 2-0 Railroaders, 16
Yeah, I don't know. Just not the same
Right. Yeah, I think this gym, but I don't know. So that's a good question. They played a non-conference. It's a senior year. They played a non-conference game as well. I don't know if that was a Altoona used at the holiday tournament. Yep. There's a Glenwood stretch there as well.
Well, I mean, you have to do that loss. That's a good one.
I know it's so now we just need like 5 guys. Honestly, I don't like our chances
both boys and games will stay. Wow.
That's better.
Good look for James Borkart.
I didn't have the HDMI, didn't have the camera audios turned off, so we should be all set now. But the rookie mistake on the what seems like the 50th basketball stream of the year.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll have two separate streams. Ooh, that's a walk.
So in 2006, on December 1st, they hosted Altoona. And that would have been in this gym. So
In a non-conference game.
Yep.
So not the first time ever the JV's played here.
So they lost that one by 16. They ended up having their season ended by 2 at Altoona by Shane Maynor
Hitting a
running half hook from like probably 10 feet.
Yeah, that's.
But that was probably that's the most wins a BW team has had with the most recent high total. So that was 19 wins. What was your senior year?
Well, we played 20 regular season games, so we were 17-3, and then 3 playoff games, so 19-4.
Okay, and then Zach's senior year was 18-4, because which makes sense because they played one less playoff game than you. I would assume, was the Sean Tim team?
I think 20-2.
So that's probably the high point then. I would assume.
Yeah, because I think they only played 18 regular season games.
So
17-1 in the regular season, and then
as the amount of games have increased, this year's version of the Blackhawks have a chance to naturally, with a good season, set a new mark. It'll take a win tonight, a win at Osceola, and then a couple wins to set their own at 21. Looks like Elijah Heimer got a fresh cut. Haven't seen that in a long time.
There must be some family pictures or something.
Yeah, that would. I'm assuming that was a tougher conversation.
Big hair.
Big hair. Reaches up. He'll go right back up. Use the glass if it's there. 5-5. Sean Van and Eli were telling me that they're gonna get us a couple dunks tonight.
I'd love to see it.
And I said, Sean, can you run? Can you compel Coach Benoit to run? Shocker with you bringing the ball up, or at least getting you at the top of the key, and he said, I know, I want it so bad.
But that's off the table.
I'm not sure. I don't know how much bargaining power he has with those decisions. We had a book. Do we have a? Oh, we're good. Okay.
We got Mr. Dockel running the scoreboard, so no individual points tonight. Where's Evan Peterson at?
He just refuses, huh?
Well, I mean, there's a lot going on. Evan, two Chromebook or two iPads. He'll make it happen. Mr. Dockel's still a hunt and peck type of guy.
Yeah, well.
So another big game in the middle border tonight with Prescott and Central.
Absolutely.
Had a decent conversation with Nick Pack today about how we thought the seeding implications of that game.
Where was he?
Well, I mean, it was through text conversation.
Oh, I got you.
And honestly, I'm not convinced that game has any implications. The thing that's interesting for those of you that are, maybe not paying a whole lot of attention. Sunday the seeds will come out for the playoffs, which is WIAA is just not doing the best job by not letting the season finish. I mean, you could have the button pushed on Thursday night and be ready for it the following Tuesday. But they're going to play, some teams will play a couple of games, and it's all going to be computer formula, big hair with another bucket. And it's the 6 criteria are winning percentage, opponent's winning percentage, opponent's winning percentage, defeated opponent's winning percentage, defeated opponent's winning percentage, and winning percentage against those in your region. We don't know the weights of those formulas, but obviously a win is a win, and a win over a team with a good record is a better win, right? And who you play obviously comes into it. As if you're not playing the strongest schedule, but an 18-2 team in a good conference in D1 is going to be the same to the computers as an 18-2 team in Division 7 or Division 5. And so the thing that sticks out to me is if you look at the non-conference records of the 7 middle border teams in our region, and then the 4 Heart of the North teams, it's a stark contrast.
Yeah.
So I wrote this down earlier, and I'm going to pull this up. Prescott 11-1, 18-2 overall, 11-1 in conference, 18-2 overall, so 7-1 non-conference. So if I just give you the non-conference, BW 7-2 non-conference, Central 8-1 non-conference. Bloomer, who's kind of the odd duck here, who's no longer in the Heart of the North, 5-1 non-conference.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have Osceola, 4-4 in non-conference, 9-11 overall. So most of their losses have come at the hands of teams in the middle border.
Mm-hmm.
Northwestern, 15-0 in the conference, 3-3 non-conference.
Right.
Now, obviously, they're limited by the fact that they have to play their conference opponents, but they go outside the conference. They're 3-3. St. Croix Falls 2-3, 12-9 overall. Barron 1-5. Spooner 0-5, but both over 500 in their conference. So how, like, to me, and I can say this because I don't have to look these guys in the face, how bad is the Heart of the North?
Yeah, it's not good. I was looking. It's the top of the middle border compared to the Heart of the North. The evidence has suggested it's not close, and by top I mean top 3. I went through every matchup in the Heart of the North, and I think actually the win-loss for just conference versus conference is like 11-9, which is way closer than I thought it was going to be. But a lot of middle border like Amory is they're at the bottom of the barrel when it comes to everything, and I think they had like 2 or 3 of those losses. Osceola had 2 or 3 of those losses. I think Altoona had 1, and Somerset had 1 or 2 as well. But I don't think I from what I saw, the top of the middle border is undefeated, and it's been a weird. I mean, honestly, some of the scores surprised. I mean, St. Croix Falls really took it to, I think it was Osceola. Barron, like you said, they're only 1-5, so I don't know that they.
I'm guessing they beat Amory.
Yep, that's it. But no, the Heart of the North, I'm not convinced that Northwestern would finish in the top 3 in the middle border.
Well, and that's kind of what I told Pack earlier. I said if we set coaches in a seating meeting, I don't know if Northwestern isn't 4.
Yeah, but with because essentially, I mean, you take winning percentage. So what's your record? What's the strength of schedule?
Right.
And then who has
good wins?
Correct.
Yep. And we have good wins.
Mm-hmm.
Prescott has good wins.
Mm-hmm.
Does Northwestern have good wins? And for me, it's the part that how does a good win? Good try by Guthrie there. How does a good win compare to a bad loss? And I'm not saying that it's a loss to a bad team, right? Nurchman's not a bad team. Nurchman would be competitive in this conference.
Yes.
But they're not in this conference, and because they're in the Big Rivers and they're losing more games than they're winning, losing to Nurchman is a bad loss.
Mm-hmm.
Because of how the numbers spit out.
Now, a good, actually, a almost identical comparison is the girls' loss to Richmond and how that weighed. Because Richmond, I looked, they're I think second to last in the Big Rivers, and that girls' team only has like 6 or 7 wins.
Right.
And so, like you just mentioned, that would be, by the new metrics, a bad loss. And so, I don't know how much that weighed against them. I didn't look closely at St. Croix Falls' record or
But I think the big difference there is that the girls beat St. Croix Falls,
Right.
who is
Yeah.
very, very good in the heart of the North, and they beat Northwestern, who's very, very good in the heart of the North. And that's why those were good wins that helped them,
Yeah.
right? And so the girls have losses against Elk Mound. That's a good it's a good loss. They were a good team, and so it's like how does a good win compare to a bad loss?
An example that I think is going to be relevant for the boys, like if Central were to win tonight,
Okay.
I don't, with the Northwestern win under St. Clair Central's belt as well, which is 18 wins. That's an 18-win team.
Yep.
And Central wins out. BW wins out. They're 18-4 or 19-4. Well, actually 18-4 at the button press.
Right.
In what world does BW seed above them?
Above Central?
Yeah, if they were to knock off Prescott tonight. Just because I'm thinking about the strength of schedule, St. Clair Central's going to have, with that Northwestern win, it seems like they're going to, it'll just be too many good wins.
See, and I don't.
Too many, you know. I don't know, but
if they beat Prescott, and it's, I don't know.
The part that's so frustrating is I'm having a hard time even believing that there's no subjectivity, but there isn't. Like, there's nothing. There's
Right.
no, like, margin of victory. Doesn't matter.
There's
like,
no Jack Janke injury.
right.
for
Like
Ellsworth.
it's
They're
just weird.
They're
It's like,
just 4-8, 6-13.
or recency. Like
Right.
BW knocks off St. Clair Central a couple weeks. Like I don't know.
So in your mind, putting you on the spot,
Yeah.
Central beats Prescott tonight. How do you seed your top four?
Prescott Central. Yeah, Prescott Central. Baldwin, Woodville, Northwestern. Yeah. Just because I don't know that Northwestern has the strength of schedule to match up with Baldwin, Woodville. But I also don't know how much of the weight is your overall
Nobody
record.
does.
Because Northwestern then would be the two
That-
by default
and
because
I
they're going to
think-
finish with more wins.
And I think that that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
I think no matter what happens in Prescott tonight, Prescott's won.
Yep. Northwestern 2.
Us 3, Central 4.
Yep.
And I think, we're saying, Central wins or Prescott wins. Those two teams played earlier, and they weren't similar.
No, it wasn't competitive.
Prescott is,
Drilled them.
yeah. And I would anticipate that we see something similar, but Central historically has played Prescott really, really tough.
Yeah, that gym's a tough place to play as well.
I think, have we beat them there 2 out of the last 4 times?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
The loss coming, obviously, last year, and the loss coming in the playoffs the prior year. So you got 16-10 Altoona.
Yeah, they're shooting lights out from deep. I mean, the perimeter looks they've knocked down. Number 10 just hit one, Lenberg. And Altoona, obviously coming off of back-to-back Clover Belt. Was it back-to-back titles?
They were regional champs back years. I'm not sure how they performed in the Clover Belt.
Okay. But obviously coming off a lot of success at the varsity level. It looks like their numbers are great. I mean, if this is accurate, if all these players are still playing, that's a really, really deep program. Yeah, they want to get 10 looks from the perimeter. This will be the home opener for the JV, last JV game that these Blackhawks will play on this floor this season. All that seating talk aside, the boys, the senior athletes will, obviously this is their senior night, but they will have at least one more game here a regional semi.
A week
then,
from
yeah.
a week from 2 weeks from tonight.
Whether they get the 2 or the 3, that's and you're right. Like, I don't know the personalities in that room that as well as you might, but I mean, if all the coaches, if the Heart of North and the middle border coaches walk into a room, like even Heart of North teams that have played the middle border top team, like I don't know that they're hearing, yeah, Northwestern's better than all 3 of you, even though they lost to one of you.
Yeah.
Or do you think it's that loyal? Like it would just be like, nope, they're the 2, or they're the 1.
Well, the reason that you have a computer formula is to take the alliances out of it.
Yeah.
And with 12 teams, 7 middle border, 4 Heart of the North, and Bloomer, who's basically Heart of the North, it's 7 on 5.
Are they Cooley now? Or
I'm not even sure what they are.
Are they? Yeah, I don't know.
They're with like Fall Creek and
Cooley, yeah, or Cloverbelt. I'm sorry, Cloverbelt.
And so it would be the 4 teams would vote Northwestern as high as they could. Obviously, Northwestern wouldn't vote for Northwestern. And we saw it. I mean, we saw it a handful of years ago when it was Bloomer that was really good, and the Heart of the North coaches were adamant that Northwestern was the #1 seed, and the middle border coaches were more like, well, no, Prescott's definitely the #1, and Bloomer Ellsworth is a toss-up at 2, and that made for some interesting conversations,
which eventualized the Prescott-Ellsworth regional, or
sectional semi.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what ended up happening was Bloomer had a guy out with a broken ankle, another guy out with a concussion, and then their leading scorer had emergency appendectomy the night before the game, and so Ellsworth went to Bloomer and beat him pretty handily. Then Ellsworth played Prescott at New Richmond in a game that was led by Ellsworth at half. Prescott pulled away. Prescott went to Menominee a couple nights later to play the Wisconsin Dells and beat them, and then the next week were Petey Brookshaw Magic to win the state title.
Yep.
But Ellsworth was definitely a top 10 team in the state.
Oh yeah.
In that division, and I think Bloomer at full strength probably had that argument. But as coaches, you're trying to take the information that you have, and I don't know that all the information was shared truthfully.
Right. Yeah, the regular season finale, Prescott plays Ellsworth. They win 120-83, and then they go to New Richmond. It's 83-61, and it should have the halftime. Yeah, 38-33 at half. Ellsworth up.
Yeah, so Prescott in that game where they scored 120, because I charted every possession, what Prescott did, and Prescott didn't turn the ball over for like 47 possessions to start the game, and had 60 some points.
It's 60 in the first, 60 in the second. Petey Brookshaw had 53 points.
Yeah. Yeah, it was nuts. It was the most dominant offensive team performance. And obviously 3 years of coaching is not a lot, but that I saw in 3 years of coaching, and I saw in any game that I watched from a team perspective. So I think Parker almost had 20 that game.
Yeah, he had 14.
That was just a fun team to watch, but not a fun team to watch when you're on the sideline trying to stop them.
Brian Tayson had 25.
Yeah, he was hitting some shots that night too.
Yeah, PD, people forget. He averaged over 30 points a game.
Yeah, he was a stud. Hey, go to the box score against us, at our place.
Jeez Louise.
So Altoona on a run here to end the half. Heimer wants a kick, but it was one of those inadvertent dribble off someone's leg. And you're not going to get that call. Not in. There's a lot of action going on at half court.
So at our place, he had 19. At home, he had 26.
Yeah, we
He
I
missed.
think
Yeah,
he was in a little bit of foul trouble. We played pretty well that game.
he was super efficient at home. I think he was 11 for 16 from the floor.
Yeah, he hit some big shots, and the little mom love. That wasn't
Well,
that team. That was the next year.
No.
At their place. All right, we're halftime here. 21-10. We'll be back for half number 2 for more JV action. And I don't know if you can hear when I had my mics messed up, but this stream, JV stream, will stay up through the end of this game. We'll disconnect. We'll connect to the varsity stream. If at any point our stream gets disconnected from the Wi-Fi, just be patient. We'll get hooked up as soon as we possibly can at the same link and be ready to go. So give us 9 minutes a half, and we'll be back for the second half of this game.
right, welcome back to Baldwin-Woodville High School for the second half of JV matchup between the Hawks and the Rails. Altoona jumped out to a 11-point first half lead. Hawks looking to battle back. Looks like they're going to have same, not quite same starters. I don't know if Evan started.
I don't believe he did.
And I don't think Reese did either.
Correct.
But, so out there right now for the Hawks, 11, Evan Clausen, he's a freshman. 14, Reese Guthrie, he's a junior. 12, Ryan Bienendahl, he's a sophomore. 24, James Borkhardt, he's a sophomore. And 10, Jackson Johansson is a sophomore. For the Rails, number 10, he had a good first half. AJ Lenberg. 14, Levi Day, he's a sophomore. 13 with the ball right now, I'm thinking is maybe Connor Scullion, a C-teamer, maybe. They don't have a 13 on the JV printout. 31 is Hunter Hibbard, he's a freshman, and 30 is Hunter Anderson, he's a sophomore.
Do you remember Altoona JV coach Jared Buchholz?
I remember Jared Buchholz. Dude, that's like my favorite thing about high school basketball is just like the lore. Like, I remember, I wasn't at this game, but I remember hearing about, as a young kid, Jared Buchholz throwing a basketball into the stands in anger in Durand. He sits the second quarter. That happens in the first quarter. He sits the second quarter.
Okay.
And then plays the rest of the game. Like, imagine, but like that's what Durand was the Wild West.
So that same year, we go up there. This was Zach's senior year, so I think Buchholz is senior year as well. We're a good team, they're a good team. Our students travel well. And that gym, Cracker Box, our student section in the second half, in the designated student section, standing up. People around them didn't like that they were standing up, complained to event staff. They're told they need to sit down. And they're like, why do we have to sit down? We're in.
This is your student section?
Yeah, on the road. And after we then pull away a little bit, they've had enough of our student section. And basically, you guys, all of you, you're out of here. So they escort, a few dozen kids out of the gym. And one of our seniors decides, instead of walking out of the gym nicely, he's going to take a little victory lap. And as he gets past our bench, a Durand fan sticks his foot out. Whoop.
Yeah.
It was interesting.
Well,
it was a night.
And then your senior year, a huge game here.
That was my junior year.
Oh, your junior year? When they...
Junior year playoff game. The students left school early and showed up at our school.
Which is so cool. Like, that's something out of a movie. Like, that's something that would be in a basketball movie and not be true, but they put it in there for dramatic effect.
This happened. I had to say excuse me to Durand kids so I could get to my locker. They were sitting all the way around the gym.
It's so gnarly. I love that. Oh, I love that.
That year, that game, as a matter of fact, Jeff Dorning, if you know Jeff Dorning, his name's sprinkled on the track and field record.
He's pretty quick.
Mike Larson from Durand.
Yeah.
They had a shirt-off flexing contest during the game. Everybody was a winner. But yeah, that was a real thing. Baldwin-Woodville loses in overtime. And player of the year in the conference, Nick Weisenbeck, officiating the game tonight. I've not seen him yet. I did invite him up, but he was carpooling with one of the other officials. So I told him, I said, why don't you come to the booth? We'll talk Middle Border Conference early 2000s.
Well, and he would be the first to mention that, player of the year was cool, and being on a very good team in the middle border was really cool, but back-to-back league titles as a student at UWRF in whatever league y'all played in.
Yeah, the adult league. Yeah, we ran that. His greatest basketball moment, not going to state, but after high school, was Nick Weisenbeck, 48, can't dunk in the league, and he's dunking for 50, and if you dunk, you get thrown out, and he missed the dunk and gets thrown out of the game.
I've been waiting for Ryan Bienendahl 3 to drop all season. I want to go crazy for him. He loves the top of the key. When he gets the look, he'll shoot it.
Instead, we got a Ryan Bienendahl foul.
It's a hard shot. It's a long ways. Ran the weight room after school today. Saw Dane Bienendahl. Stronger than most adults in the high school. Which is farther from hyperbole than you'd think. He's a fun athlete to be around.
8th grader.
Yep.
The theme is not white out, it's white lie.
Yeah, I don't know what that means.
Well, it's just you tell a lie that is harmless.
Oh, that's what they're referencing?
Yeah, so whatever is written on their shirt is not true.
Oh.
It's just we can't make it out.
Clay says I heart.
What does he heart?
The executive office of the United States.
Oh.
I saw Marnie's was something about dunking. I think it says I can dunk or I made a dunk.
Marnie?
Well, because I saw it earlier, I'm like, I thought it was, I don't know. I had no idea what the theme was.
Yeah, so that's a white lie. A harmless,
Sure.
a harmless untruth.
Right.
Non-truth.
I'd be curious what her vertical would have to be for her to dunk.
Well,
We could do the math.
she's 5'2".
And so
Probably add
most
2 feet to the reach.
Yeah. Yeah.
So she reaches up to not quite, probably about 7 feet.
36 of them. Inches.
Yeah, but you need to more than be able to touch a rim.
Probably 30, 38, 39, 40, something like that.
Yeah, she probably need to be able 44. Because you need to be able to get your hand up above the rim.
Well, that's what I noticed in
Yeah, you're right.
practice. They had trouble palming the ball, I think it was.
Yeah.
You guys used to do it at practice all the time.
And my whole thing is with dunking is I think that more people should dispute playing on 10-foot rims. I think it's silly. You know, 9 feet.
9 feet in high school, 10 feet in college, 11 feet in the NBA.
There we go. That's funny. Steph Curry cannot dunk if that's the case. Chris Middleton can't dunk.
LeBron makes it look easy still.
Ja might as well be 12. I don't know if I've seen Kyrie dunk. You know who could dunk was Derrick Rose.
Oh, yeah, he was
that dude.
Freaky explosive.
I think one of his highest career totals in a game was as a Timberwolf.
Yeah, he hit 50 as a Wolf.
And then was crying after the game, and that was a big deal.
I want to say Nielsen said I'm an only child, so to go along with that. Very big lie.
That's actually funny.
Yeah.
That's good.
It's harmless though.
What, I can't read what Martin says.
Martin says my hands are not sweaty.
Oh.
She's not quite Jordan Lehman level of perspiration, but
Our hands always.
yeah.
She's got some Air Max something. Those are new.
Nah, last summer. We just keep our shoes white.
Interesting. Well, I mean, new as in I hadn't seen them before.
Jordan 3s tomorrow morning.
There you go.
Hawks down 14.
Back to Buchholz, though. I remember he was a real, obviously, very, very good player. And I had I think something like a second cousin, a Winter, on that team.
Okay.
Actually, I don't even know if it'd be Mike. It was my aunt and uncle, my sister's so my sister's brother-in-law's nephew. And I do not know how that computes. I don't know what that would be.
Will be something in law.
Well, I mean, like, I don't think I was. I think he was just at some family reunions that I was at. I don't believe
Okay.
we were related, but
Okay.
he was all right. He started, I believe. But Duran's, I mean, yeah, that's what they do. What's more impressive to me, they obviously have they've had a lot of really good teams and really good athletes, but the preservation of like specific families in that area.
Oh yeah.
Is uncommon. Like Baldwin, Woodville definitely has its fair share. Veenendals, Dorninks. And I mean, each school you'll have names that are like, oh yeah, but Durand, it's like, wait, I don't recognize that name. Like all of the names are recognizable, and it's weird when they're not. Berger, Bauer, Weisenbeck. I mean,
Yeah.
Winter, Comro, like.
What was their running back's name this year?
Weiss, Bauer, Simon Bauer.
And Weiss, that's pretty common there.
Yep. I'm related to Weiss's Bauer. My mom is a Bauer. Her maiden name.
Yeah. So the one of the strengths of the Blackhawk JV this year has been its perimeter shooting.
Yeah. Definitely.
And not necessarily one or two dudes able to knock down perimeter shots, but a lot of guys having a lot of success scoring 3 points at a time. Tonight,
not great.
Not so much that.
No.
I mean, we've seen, with the exception of Big Hair, who did hit 1-3.
Yep. Jimmy. Ooh, that's offensive.
All the other guys on the floor have had games where they've hit multiple threes in 3 possessions.
Yeah, Jimmy James Borkhardt hit one right away, and since then, and actually I think that the boys were up 5-2, and since then I haven't seen a perimeter shot fall.
And Altoona's playing a more aggressive zone.
Yeah.
That extends, and you're not getting a lot of great looks.
Good board by Maddox.
And contested threes, they're hard.
They're very hard. The 3-point shot is difficult. A contested 3-point shot or a 3-point shot off the dribble is uncommon in high school sports. Catch and shoot 3 is what you want.
Absolutely. I read a stat today. Patrick Baldwin at UW Milwaukee. So five-star recruit playing in the Horizon on a really bad team.
Yep.
He's shooting just a really poor percentage from the floor and from 3. There's a steal in the backcourt. All but 7 of his threes this year have been contested.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
It's like if you can't get an open look, and so his draft stock is, there's some people that are like he would have the worst statistical line as a college basketball player of any lottery pick ever.
If he would have gone to a Kentucky or a Duke, I mean, it'd be a lock. He has things athletically and size-wise that you can't coach, replicate, and then also he's phenomenally talented.
Well, and a super high basketball IQ.
Super smart kid. Missed most of his senior year to injury.
Yeah, he like dislocated his ankle. It looked
really,
it looked really bad.
And stayed home with Patrick Baldwin, not junior, who is the coach of University of Milwaukee.
I don't know why that reminds me, but when we were playing Prescott, you're talking about contested threes. I thought I would just watch Parker Nielsen's 3-pointer shots. And
Yeah.
I'd noticed a weird trend where he missed a ton of uncontested threes.
Sure.
And this is when I was still Like, it was our first year, and I'm like, Jeremy, I don't know. This is worth nothing, but he didn't shoot very well in the film, uncontested.
And a theory on that is often an uncontested three will not be the same rhythm a shooter usually
Right.
shoots with.
Like, you're surprised almost.
Yep, exactly.
Well, and if you turn on the league, what guys often do
Just wait.
is wait and take a dribble.
Yes,
But
exactly.
they don't catch
Exactly.
and you don't like to shoot off the dribble, but it's more to get yourself in a rhythm
Correct, yeah.
and then do it at the speed that you do it at normally. I was gonna say that was a good looking move, but
Maybe a little too
illegal.
good.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I remember. So it was Bucks Nets, and it was the game that went to overtime. I don't know if it was overtime, but Pat Connaughton had a game-winning opportunity that was wide open.
okay.
And he was a very good perimeter shooter down the stretch for the Bucks last year, and was until he got injured a couple weeks ago this year, and airballed it by like a mile. And now pressure obviously adds to that, but super wide open, really good shooter, and it was like, have you shot before, Pat?
Well, Pat Connaughton probably spent the afternoon throwing 98-mile-an-hour heaters.
That's true. Well, his beer league team hopes that they make another deep run, so that
Right.
or that league rather
Right.
hopes that he's
Well, he was a professional baseball player.
yeah.
He was an Oriole. He was going to be
I don't know.
be the guy.
Yeah, Notre Dame Fighting Irish. I would love to see what Ben Peavy says. I think his might be another one that's a little bit cagey.
What would you write on your shirt, Nygaard, if you were a part of this?
I don't know. I'd have to think about that one.
Mine would be I can dunk, and then hope for many people that don't know it's a white lie shirt to be like, oh, that's interesting.
I thought you'd write like I'm bad at darts or something.
No, I wouldn't write that.
What would no.
What would you write, Coach Ambrose?
I'm slow. I don't know.
How far of a distance do we have to run before you can beat me in a race?
Like in our primes right now?
No, right now.
Could beat you at probably any distance. Well, actually, I'm not very fast. Remember?
You just said I'm not. My white lie would be
Oh.
I'm slow, and then you
Over-
follow that by saying I'm not fast.
Speed, like I don't sprint. There was a time that I joined in on your guys' conditioning once, and that's when I realized, like, A, I'm getting old, and B, I have 0 fast switch muscles left.
Yeah,
Remember, I was running with Wyatt Larson, and I was like, holy crap.
speed if not maintained is yeah, will expire at some point, but there's some things that stick around for a long time.
The last time I sprinted was like 2 summers ago, and I raced Jordan Letter in a 40-yard dash, and she beat me by 1/100th of a second.
Did you get hurt?
Did I get hurt?
Yeah.
No.
That's surprising, just because
I
it's
thought you'd
almost
pull up.
unheard of not to. Like
I know.
every single person over 30 that I know that just like sprints once, hamstring every single time.
I know. Well, I mean, I tried to loosen up a little bit, but there was a softball combine, and it was chip timed. So I thought she would run faster if she was running against somebody, and yeah, so she beat me, but I wasn't slow. The shorter the distance, the better, because I'm more quick than straight line fast.
Yeah, you're not as old as I think. You're in your 30s. You could probably get me at like I feel like the 300 would be a great race between us.
Yeah, anything. Well, that might. I would be tired.
300 hurdles.
I would die.
100 meters is a very long, very long distance.
Yeah, that for me that's
That
too
would
long.
be the max. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I was like thinking baseline to baseline.
Oh yeah, you'd get me baseline to baseline.
Yeah.
100%.
A basketball court is a good, good frame of reference. Yeah, people like running 100s for conditioning.
That's what,
Like you are tired well before halfway.
Yeah.
You're at 40, 35, and it is like, oh, this sucks.
I'm
right
so
now.
used to distance stuff. I'm like, wow, 100 meters.
That's why when you watch 100-meter athletes that get faster, like that, as they race, they get fat. It's like, that's awesome.
And that was Kenny Bednarik, and actually that was Usain Bolt's thing.
Yep.
It's like, how is he doing that?
Who's number? Oh yeah.
Yeah, Usain Bolt defied science.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Have you read Born to Run, Zach?
I need to.
He wrote that.
I wrote it.
So I just got done with it, and
Who's it about?
well, it's not about any particular person. It's about a tribe in Mexico that they're more primitive. They're not entirely primitive, but they're more primitive than most. And one thing that they still do that goes back thousands and thousands and thousands of years, just humankind-wise, is they still run insane distances. So like hundreds of miles at a time. And the reason is that in that tribe, in those peoples, and it's still present in a few primitive Homo sapiens as it is, but for thousands of years before weapons were invented, humans hunted via persistence hunting. And so persistence hunting is like running a deer down or running a horse down or running whatever it may be by tiring it out.
Right.
And so it goes into the science behind it, the evolutionary biology of it, and it talks about how the meters per second of a deer's jog is far less than the meters per second of a human's jog. But a deer, as it sprints, is, for anybody who's seen a deer in the woods, it's impossibly fast.
Right.
Right? But because a deer does not have essentially the construction when it comes to anaerobic versus aerobic energy, complicated, boring stuff, but it can't jog for nearly the length of time that a human can.
Okay.
And so humans would, to get prey like a zebra or a deer or an antelope, would just run. It was usually like a 10-minute mile pace for between 50 to 150 miles. And the deer would drop dead, literally, or they would catch it and they would kill it, and that's how they would get their food.
It seems like an awful lot of work.
It is, but it's a testament to the human body and the way that it evolved to run, because there a lot of times people kind of conflate watching the NBA, watching the NFL, and think, well, because I am not that level of explosivity, that I can't, like, I'm not able to run, or I'm not fast. But actually, literally, anybody that is well, of good health, relatively good health, you are constructed to run. It's not necessarily going to be an Aaron Donald type explosion, or a, like you just talked about, like Kenny Bednarik type speed. That is not what we're evolved to do. We're not evolved to sprint.
Right.
Like that's why if you line up a horse and there's actually still, you can sign up for horse human races to this day. They still have them, and humans win all the time. 50 miles. Yeah. It's wild.
That's crazy.
So cool.
Is someone riding the horse? Like explaining the horse where to go?
I don't. Yeah. I mean, it's guided.
I mean, because if you give me a 50-mile path, and you gave lined a horse up next to me, the horse is just gonna take off.
Mm-hmm. And you'll catch it if you run.
Well, I'm just gonna run on the path, and eventually I'm gonna get there, and the horse is gonna be somewhere else.
You want to know one of my favorite stories I learned in college in history class?
Oh boy, is this one of those stories that takes forever to get to the
No,
punchline?
but it's how
This isn't about getting to history class. This is about history.
yeah, getting to history. No, do you know how the lines or the boundaries of Pennsylvania were figured out, decided?
No.
So they made a pact with the Native American tribes that however far a man can walk, I think it's in 24 hours or something, is...
Oh, that's interesting.
And well, what of course we did was they had these people that were trained essentially to run.
Yeah. And
instead of walking, they just ran it, and they got significantly farther than.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
But.
Hawks down 23.5 minutes left of this JV contest. As mentioned earlier, we'll go to a varsity stream here afterwards. And this is where Lehman gives his daily disclaimer.
Well, yeah, we'll be focused. This hasn't been, and it never is for JV games, just because we, all three of us in the booth have kind of full-time day gigs or night gigs, and so we try to preserve energy, or maybe our best effort for the varsity contest. So that will be more professional, more similar. Not saying similar, but more similar to maybe what you hear on TV, see on TV, and we'll do our best here. That'll be about 7 o'clock, probably about 7:15. And yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. It's a historied matchup. Altoona and BW, a lot of big games throughout each program's history against each other. Obviously this year the first one going to Baldwin Woodville when they played in Toontown, but Rails, nothing to lose here tonight. Could pick up a real quality one on the road, and Baldwin's trying to hold on to potentially be a co-champ if Central were to take care of business tonight, about 4 miles down the road. So lot to play for tonight for both teams. We're excited for it.
Yeah, what you get with the JV game is essentially the view that we get. Only you're forced to sit here and listen to us.
Our conversation.
Yeah, this is how we would talk if we were at a JV game. I mean, you can't hit mute if you're sitting with us in the booth, but you can hit mute at home. And yeah, we have just not shot it real well.
Another good option for JV games, maybe throw an audiobook on, throw a podcast on.
An audiobook, that brings me to a great debate with you.
It's not a debate, I agree. I mean, it's the consensus for me, which I don't think is disputable, is the taking in of information.
Yep.
Right? Books are a way to do that by reading.
Yep.
Audiobooks are a way to do that by listening.
Correct.
Yep.
But what you would say is I read a book.
Yeah, and honestly, I never thought about it. I would just say it because I didn't, like, audiobooks weren't really a thing. In Audible's really brought that, Audible by Amazon has brought that to the forefront. But I still don't pay too much attention to it. And one thing that's interesting, like, I like history, I like human beings. Like, before language was written,
all stories were verbal.
All information was.
Yeah.
And so it's just interesting, like because some people, and my excuse, which is now running out, was I spent a lot of time reading for the last handful of years studying and reading things that were very interesting but very boring at times, and so I liked to work out or run or walk or do the dishes and listen to books. But some people don't. Some people don't find that, they find it maybe harder to focus or don't find it enjoyable or just really enjoy the act of reading.
And I think I've borrowed you a couple books for active reading that you've not read. The Da Vinci Code,
I started
illustrated.
That. I started that, then school started again, and then I stopped that.
And then the book of, I can't think of what it's called offhand, but former teammate Blake Morrow's dad, who worked undercover in the FBI, wrote a book, which is my brother's book that I borrowed from him like a year ago. Oh. Yeah, this Altoona group is...
Yeah, they're good. They're good. They're going to be fine. I mean, their program, when you have this many kids out and this group, I mean, for a frame of reference for Altoona fans, this JV BW team, we haven't seen them lose on this floor in a while. They've I think they might have lost early, but I mean, you might be right that they may have held court or held serve here this season.
And there were a lot of games that weren't overly close.
Right, and so Altoona, obviously, they've taken care of business tonight. And yeah, you've got some ties to the Altoona program with one Braden Turk.
Yeah, he had to work tonight at Shields, so he's not going to make it. And he was like, "Oh, I'll see if I can find somebody." And I said, "Braden, it's not exactly the nicest weather, so just stay."
Does he get a discount at Shields?
I'm sure. Him and my niece, they both work there. His cousin. Yeah, so it was fun. We got to watch the would have been the regional semi and the regional final last year against Ellsworth and against Somerset. Then they went to, I don't know if they went 2 on Alaska or if they played them somewhere. Oh, Ethan Ferndez with a 3. If it was neutral site, but that was not a great game for the Rails. And a bummer that Keyshawn was hurt all year. That team would have been definitely able to mix it up a little bit, possibly with Alaska. But that'll do it here for the season finale for the Hawks JV. And we're gonna exit this stream here. Thanks for joining us, and we will be back pretty shortly. If there's something, I think there might be a little senior something going on, so we'll try to get that if we can on the next stream. So we're gonna sign off here and be on another stream here momentarily.